Well, welcome here to the National Liberal Club here in London, and I have with me Mr. Francis Gladstone, whose great-grandfather, Uilям Gladstone, is, I'm sure, very well known to all of you. Francis.
Well, it's an honour to be associated with Bulgaria now. My great-grandfather stood out among world politicians in bringing international attention to the atrocities committed in Bulgaria in the 1870s. And this, I think, was a stepping stone towards Bulgarian independence and a greater sense of liberalism within the country, and it's ceasing to be part of the Ottoman Empire. It's particularly interesting that since association between my older brother and me, Bulgarian historians have begun to see Gladstone from an international liberal perspective as the person who defended the liberty of oppressed European peoples. The Italians to a very considerable extent, where he had deep involvement. Bulgaria in particular, and then of course Ireland, which in Britain has tended to be seen as a British problem, but which Bulgarian historians see as a European problem. So Gladstone was important, I think, in being as a liberator of these people from colonial oppressors, which of course the British were in Ireland. So it's interesting that Gladstone drew attention to Bulgarian affairs and the need for Bulgarian independence and dignity, and Bulgarian historians are now beginning to see Gladstone in a different light to British historians, which is as a liberator of unliberated peoples within Europe.
So we want to thank you very much for taking the time. It's a real honor for us because at this point in time, Mr. Uilям Gladstone, who is behind us in the portrait, really represented the voice of the Bulgarians in a very hard time in the Bulgarian history. This massacre, which he not only announced in the British Parliament, he actually had speeches with over 10,000 people in public. And for the first time in UK foreign policy, he distributed pamphlets of the Bulgarian case and Bulgarian massacre, which was instrumental for the next steps on the liberty of Bulgaria. So we want to really thank you for that. And as two former prime ministers of Bulgaria, we want to say our gratitude to your family and their contribution to Bulgarian history.
Yes, so this is an icon that commemorates what happened in this town of Batak. So this is something that every Bulgarian knows, and it's our gesture of gratitude to present this to you. And also we are happy to say that we would like to invite you to come to Bulgaria in the coming months, so we can share this story with more Bulgarians to hear about it and to understand even better the role of your grandfather.
And as he was your great-grandfather, we also are honored to have a person from Bulgaria whose great-grandmother was one of the few survivors of the Batak massacre. So the personal stories between the ancestors that really make Bulgarians.
Well, it's deeply moving. This is in itself deeply moving, this story, and of course the massacres were unbelievably horrible. I mean, they were like nothing the world had seen within the 19th century, and if it had seen it before, it had forgotten it. And they were a horrendous war without a war, and unfortunately they're the beginning of a whole lot of atrocities that continued into the 20th century. But also what began was the act of protest outside Parliament against them.
And we want to thank you, and as Mr. Denkov said, we'll be waiting for you in the Bulgarian Parliament. We would like to really talk about his life.
Yeah.
Not only as part of a big historical figure for the Bulgarian history, but he was fighting for the liberty in a lot of the UK problems around different parts of Europe. And what you told us this morning during breakfast is that the UK people see him a lot as a liberal spokesman in the UK, but more and more they're realizing his major contribution to the liberal values across Europe.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. I'm flattered that you consider I'm worthy of attention. I'm merely a descendant of this great man.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.